Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
Here are the top stories of the news. Court avoids Inspector General of Police conviction. A Benue State Police Command debunks rumor of discovered old Naira notes. On the foreign scene, at least 120 persons killed as flooding hit Democratic Republic of Congo. Good afternoon and welcome to Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Femi Olanikwekun. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has vacated its November 29, 2022 order committing the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, to prison for contempt. Justice Bolaji Olajuwon, in a ruling today, held that there was evidence before the court that the IGP has substantially complied with the court's earlier order. Justice Olajuwon held that in view of the application Justice Olajuwon held that in view of the application, it would now remove the contempt charge. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, has promised to increase the minimum wage and prioritize production over consumption. He made a promise during his campaign rally at the Confluence Stadium in Lokoja, Kogi State, yesterday, stating that the current minimum wage is unsustainable. He said that his administration will work with the state and local governments to ensure that those who are being owed are paid. The former Anambra State governor further disclosed that if elected, his government will tackle insecurity in the country, adding that will be his government's first focus. He added that he will make sure that the country moves from the consumption to production. The People's Democratic Party, PDP presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar has assured the Plateau residents of restoration of peace and a revamping of the economy if voted into power. He made a promise while addressing party faithful during the PDP presidential rally at the Rangpam Township Stadium in Jos on Tuesday. The former vice president told the gathering that his administration will restore peace in the state, as well as also restore and revamp the economy of the state. Atiku assured that attention will be accorded to the revamping of road networks in the state as the area connects other parts of the country, adding that the APC had neglected all roads connecting Plateau with other states in the country. However, a former state governor, Jonah Jang, who belongs to Governor Nyesom Wike's G5 or Integrity Group, was not at the rally as he was said to have traveled abroad for medical treatment. The presidential candidate of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Bola Tinubu, has promised to eliminate kidnappers terrorizing Kaduna State in northwest Nigeria. Tinubu made this known at the APC Northwest presidential campaign rally in Kaduna yesterday, adding that his government will deal with all those troubling the state. He said incumbent governor of Kaduna, Nasir El-Rufai, has done creditably well since he assumed office in 2015. Kaduna has recorded increasing bandits and terrorist attacks in the last 2 years, including the infamous attack on a moving train on March 28, 2022. Tinubu was at the rally alongside his running mate, Kashim Shettima, APC National Chairman Abdullahi Adabu, and a retinue of governors from the northwest and other parts of the northern region. The new Nigeria People's Party, NNPP, and presidential candidate Rabiu Kwankwanso has boasted that his party has a brighter chance to win the forthcoming 2023 general elections. Kwankwanso made this disclosure during his visit to Ado-Ekiti as part of his campaign tour in the southwest part of the country to canvass for votes ahead of the February 2023 general polls. Kwankwanso, speaking at the Palace of the Ewe of Ado-Ekiti, Oba Rufus Adeyemo Adejugbe, said the People's Democratic Party, PDP, was badly wounded, but ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, had failed Nigerians. The former Kano State governor said the NNPP has a brighter chance of winning the coming election, noting that the APC has been wounded in the southeast by the margins of Peter Obi of the Labour Party. He added that the APC has failed the citizens to the extent that no right-thinking Nigerian will want this terrible situation to continue. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has announced plans to decongest some polling units in Ekiti State. Ekiti State Resident Electoral Commissioner Professor Bami Salami disclosed these during a stakeholders meeting in Ado-Ekiti. He called on political parties and other stakeholders to educate the people on the new development, which he said would enhance effective electoral system. He explained that the decision was aimed at reducing the long queues and time wasting, as well as allow more voters to exercise their right. During the elections in 2023, Professor Salami further assured electorates that they would not be disenfranchised by the process. The British High Commission in Nigeria has expressed its interest in seeing that the upcoming elections in Rivers State, as well as other parts of the country, are free, fair, and credible. The political counselor at the Commission's office, Jonathan Bacon, said these after a delegation led by him met behind closed doors with Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike in the state. He said he discussed with the governor on ways to further strengthen the cooperation between the United Kingdom and Nigeria, as well as the UK and Rivers State. Bacon further restated that the British government is committed to supporting the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) in achieving an acceptable election next year. The political council also met with senior officials of the PDP, as well as Social Democratic Party governorship candidate, Senator Magnus Abe. The Benue State Police Command have debunked the reports trending on social media of alleged discovery of old Naira notes in a police barracks in Makurdi, the capital city. In a video trending on social media, perceived old Naira notes were discovered inside a big container around Wadata Market on Tuesday. But a statement, the State Police Command spokesperson Catherine Anene described the report as unfounded, adding that the purported Naira notes were wasted papers obtained from the Central Bank of Nigeria. She disclosed that immediately the command received the information, detectives were sent to the scene to investigate and recovered wasted papers in a shop close to Wadata Police Barracks, Makurdi. She revealed that the owner of the shop, Mr. Isa Suleiman, was invited for questioning and attended a license issued to him by the CBN for waste management. At least one person has been killed as gunmen invaded Arepo Fadunsi in Ijoko, Ifo local government area of Ogun State. The Ogun So Safe Corps confirmed the incident, stating the two injured victims are currently receiving treatment in a hospital. The So Safe Corps spokesman Maruf Yusuf told newsmen that the Corps has apprehended one of the suspects, who he identified as Joseph Michael. He said that while Michael was captured by operatives of the Corps, other members of the gang are said to have escaped on 3 motorbikes. And still in Ogun, the governor, Dapo Abiodun, has called for collaboration between his government and traditional medicine practitioners to eradicate ritual killings. The governor said these while speaking at a one-day workshop on a campaign against ritual killings and quackery, with a view to promoting a wholesome alternate medicine practice for the safety of all. The governor decried the nefarious activities of ritual killers and a negative image given to it, particularly in Ogun State. Governor Abiodun further stated that all hands must be on deck to expose those involved in the nefarious act to put a stop to the menace. Oyo State Governor Seyi Makinde has accused the previous administration of embezzling funds approved for the construction of Ido-Erua Road. The governor made the accusation during a town hall meeting with stakeholders, stating that after the demise of former Governor Ajimobi, the Chinese global company which the project was awarded to closed down and left the site. The governor maintained that his administration has paid 30% to fix the road from Igbora to Elekwekon, adding that he has re-awarded the Gogon to Igbora. The governor said his administration is so passionate to fix the Erua farm settlement to boost agriculture in the zone, adding that he had earmarked the money for the project, but is awaiting the proof of concept. He added that mobilization for the project to be done within the first few weeks of January 2023. You're watching Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. We'll be right back after this break.
Turn it up! It's the Wild Wild West, and Western Spring Television is pulling out all the stops to make sure that you don't miss out on every of the fun and happenings around you. Yup, we've got you covered because your girls got all the juiciest tidbits and entertainment news from around the world. Cross over to the chocolatey side of entertainment. Join me, Chocolate Cassie, on Eccentric as we take you into every bit of the juiciest news, fashion, music, movie updates, and other trending conversations. Together on the show, we'll get personal with your favorite celebrities via phone call, Zoom, or even live here in the studio. Eccentric will be shown on your TV screen on Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on StarTimes.
Thank you so much for staying with us on the news at 12 on Western Spring Television. The House of Representatives has called on the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, to end the artificial scarcity of petroleum products in the country within the next 1 week. The Green Chambers said the artificial scarcity of petroleum products, especially the premium model spirit, has caused untold hardship to millions of Nigerians across the country. The House made the call after members unanimously adopted the motion moved by Saidu Abdullahi, which they said has further grounded economic activities due to no specific reason. The House worried that if the situation continues, the festive period will bring unbearable hardship to their constituents as the price of goods and services will skyrocket. The National Human Rights Commission says torture is one of the challenges facing the country. Chairperson of NHRC Governing Board, Dr. Salamatu Suleiman, said this when the Commission presented its report on torture, extrajudicial killings, and enforced disappearance. According to her, the country is faced with so many challenges, such as torture, inhuman and degrading treatment of citizens by law enforcement personnel and other members of the public. In his address, Executive Director of NHRC, Tony Ojukwu, stressed the need to sustain efforts in fight against violation of human rights by law enforcement agencies. Similarly, the Secretary to the SARS panel, Hilary Ogbonna, who highlighted the content of the report, called for continuous education to curb torture. The presentation of the report is part of activities lined up to mark this year's 16 days of activism in commemoration of the International Human Rights Day.
Today, we are faced with so many challenges with varying human rights implications. These challenges include torture, inhuman and degrading treatment on citizens by law enforcement personnel and other members of the public, skyrocketing cases of sexual and gender-based violence in domestic and public places, as well as waves of insurgency and terrorism in many parts of Nigeria. While we acknowledge and commend the efforts of government and other groups towards addressing these violations, we believe that coming together through collective efforts will help to achieve a more sustainable solution to these problems. In furtherance of this, the National Human Rights Commission, as the national agency set up to promote, protect, and enforce human rights in Nigeria, believes that this year's 16 days of activism provides a unique opportunity to galvanize national efforts with all like-minded stakeholders to proffer solutions to problems confronting us as a people. It is important to note that the role of the civil society is very crucial to the peace and stability of any democratic society. Hence, the high premium placed by the Commission.
In business, the Senate has postponed its debate on the cash withdrawal policy by the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, until Wednesday, December 14, 2022. A member of the Senate Committee on Banking and Finance, Senator Olubunmi Adetumbi, in a point of order, explained that the report, which was to be presented at yesterday's plenary, had to be withheld because the chairman of the committee, Senator Obasan, is away at the APC rally in Kaduna. Senator Adetumbi assured the Senate that the report of the committee on CBN withdrawal policy is ready, noting that the committee's chairman had to attend the APC zonal rally in his capacity as governorship candidate of Kaduna State. Senate President Ahmed Lawan, responding to the point of order, appeals to lawmakers to be patient as the findings of the committee will be unveiled within 24 hours. Elon Musk is no longer the world's richest man after a sharp drop in the value of his shares in the electric car company Tesla this year. According to both Forbes and Bloomberg, Mr. Musk has been overtaken at the top spot by Bernard Arnault, the chief executive of luxury goods group LVMH. Mr. Musk is chief executive and the largest shareholder in Tesla with a reported stake of about 14%. He completed a $44 billion takeover of social network Twitter in October. And according to Forbes, Mr. Musk is now worth about $178 billion, while Bernard Arnault has a value of $188 billion. On the foreign scene, more than 120 people have been killed following the worst floodings in years in the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kinshasa. Major roads in the city center were submerged as heavy rains continued for hours and several homes collapsed. Many of those who died were in the hillside areas, which suffered landslides. The government has announced a 3-day period of national mourning. Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo has said African countries must wean themselves off begging the West to earn global respect and change poor perceptions about the continent. Mr. Akufo-Addo said if African countries stop being beggars and spend African money inside the continent, Africa will not need to ask for respect from anyone, but will get the respect it deserves. He made the remarks during the opening of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C. Mr. Akufo-Addo urged greater solidarity amongst Africans to address shared aspirations. Dozens of African leaders are in Washington to discuss cooperation with the U.S. amidst the growing Chinese and Russian influence on the continent. In his remarks earlier, U.S. Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin warned that China and Russia were destabilizing Africa with their growing inroads. In Europe, explosions were heard in the center of the Ukrainian capital Kyiv in the early hours of today. The city's mayor Vitaly Klitschko said blasts rocked the central district and emergency services had been dispatched. Russia has repeatedly targeted Ukrainian energy infrastructure this October with missiles and drones. President Volodymyr Zelensky said the Ukrainian forces had shot down 13 Iranian-made Shahed drones, to all which is said amounted to all those launched by Russia today. And in sports, Moroccans are eagerly anticipating their team's semi-final World Cup match against reigning champions France. Morocco became the first Arab and African sides to make it to a World Cup semi-final after defeating Portugal last week in a shock result. Across Casablanca, a port city in western Morocco, cafe owners are setting up for the biggest football game of their lives. Tables are being cleared out and rows of chairs lined up in front of giant screens, ready for the supporters who will be pouring into the city's many coffee shops to watch the game. According to reports, vendors selling flags and football jerseys have taken over the Medina, the city's historical district. Argentina captain Lionel Messi says Sunday's final will be the last World Cup game of his career. The 35-year-old forward scored his fifth goal of Qatar 2022 and helped set up two others in last night's 3-0 semi-final win over Croatia. Playing in his fifth World Cup, Messi had ever won the game's biggest prize. Argentina will play France and Morocco in the final when Messi is set to make a record 26th appearance in a men's World Cup. The 2026 World Cup will be held in the United States and Canada and Mexico. And before we end the news, there is a recap of our top stories. A federal high court sitting in Abuja has vacated its November 29, 2022 order committing the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, to prison for contempt. The Benue State Police Command has debunked report trending on social media of alleged discovery of old Naira notes in a police barracks in Makurdi, the capital city. On the foreign scene, more than 120 people have been killed following the worst floods in years in the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Kinshasa. Don't forget to follow us on all of our social media handles on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as Western Spring Television. You can also watch us live on our YouTube channel at Western Spring Television. That ends the Spring News at 12 on Western Spring Television. My name is Femi Olanipekun. Good afternoon. Can you imagine the feeling when you get your news as the break with facts and clarity? Our news are reported as it is.
In Africa, and all those who masterminded the way it happened will have to pay a price.
Enjoy Western programs, projecting culture and tradition to the world. Brought to you as the break and recapped every hour for your update.
You must never forget the sacrifices of the heroes of Nigeria's democracy.
Produced and brought to you in a unique way never before seen.
Western Spring.
Western Spring.
On Western Spring Television. Television is coming home in your color and culture.
Sports is a culture on its own. It has its own language, its own people, with their own way of life. The world of sports is never void of actions, stories, dramas, and scandals. I guess you need a sports show that can walk the walk and talk the talk.
On this show, we answer all your sporting questions. The whens, the whys, the wheres, and even the what ifs. Sports Spring is that show that will give you that new lease of life you've been looking for in sport journalism. Join me, Joseph Atewe,
And your sports Amazon, Nengi Enes.
on this station, Western Spring Television, channel 190, only on Star Times.
Let's talk sports. Let's speak the most universal language of the world.
Evelyn Ohiole,
Hi.
King Eve. How are you today?
I'm
good, I'm fine, I'm alive.
I really feel like she's not giving the right answer to the question. When one asks you, how are you? And you said, you're saying, I'm alive. It's very annoying, seriously. How are you? I'm fine. I feel I'm fine will be the right answer instead of I'm alive. Not that I asked you if you're dead before.
Go and check all these 14-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old, everybody, they are extraordinarily sexually active.
I feel is being unnecessarily hyper when it comes to the issue of sex, because we talk about other topics and he feels so reserved. He really doesn't have anything much to say when it comes to other stuff. But when it's the issue of sex, I believe he's being unnecessarily hyper. That's when I have to pick an issue with him. I mean, it's just being unnecessarily there when we're talking about sex. Just like a child, his mom just got him his favorite chocolate or ice cream, very happy, doing as though if he doesn't have sex for a day, he's going to die.
When it comes to finance, women also support their husbands financially. You need me emotionally. You need me spiritually.
Cassie is an amazing person, but I hate the too much attachment to that gender. I need you spiritually, I need you mentally. I can get these things anywhere with money. If you go by the topic was, who does marriage favors the most? You know how many jobless women they marry every Saturday? They are saying it favors you, favor. Are they vex so?
Growing up, when I was in the world, we've heard of
Who are you now?
Well, MC Too Much said, he likes saying when I was in the world. And the last time I checked, well, it looks a bit innocent, facially, but deep down, she's actually out of this world. We're all in the world now. As long as you're alive, you're in the world. So, MC Too Much, I beg when you talk about that. I don't want to hear that. Next time you talk about I kiss my ass.
I think I have a problem with you saying ladies are champion, and that's the problem. Always trying to attach too much importance to that gender.
It's giving insecurity, it's giving low self-esteem, it's giving the blatant display of egoism. Because at the end of the day, a man who is secured in his words, a man who is confident of who he is, will not really be disturbed as to whether women are being referred to as champions or not. I mean, at the end of the day, Joseph's a really great guy, but whether he likes it or not, women are champions.
How would you like a TV station that breaks the barriers of your TV screen? A TV station that brings infotainment to your forefront, breaking the conceptual fourth wall. Giving you television that is personal to you and your everyday life. Indigenous broadcasting for every man, cutting across the shackles of age, class, and language. With the best of equipment in digitized broadcasting. At Western Spring Television, your television experience has never been this magical.
We bring you the best in news and programs, breaking news to you as it drops from where it drops.
Talk shows that keep you glued to your seats, sports programs not void of in-depth analysis, entertainment programs cutting across all ages, political analysis with all its accompanying controversies, social responsibility because we care. Western Nigeria gave us our first feel of television. Western Spring Television is taking us to the next level.
Western Spring Television. Ours it is.
ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn gúúsù nàìjíríà ló kọ́kọ́ fún orílẹ̀-èdè yìí ní àtẹ̀móhùnmáwòrán ní oṣù kẹwàá ọdún 1959. ipa aṣíwájú yìí la tọ̀ tá a fi gbé iléeṣẹ́ móhùnmáwòrán tuntun dìde ní ẹkùn ìwọ̀ oòrùn orílẹ̀-èdè yìí tí yóò dá àrà ẹwà èdè àti ìgbélárugẹ àṣà wa padà sórí àtẹ̀móhùnmáwòrán yìí. Western Spring Television ó jáde bí ọmọ tuntun pẹ̀lú àwọn ètò tó nítumọ̀ tá a ṣe fún ìgbáyégbádùn yín. ìròyìn òdodo náà ò ní gbẹ̀yìn láti rí dájú pé àwùjọ wa ń tẹ̀síwájú ní ìlànà òtítọ́ àti ìṣe ọmọlúàbí. ibi gbogbo ni ọwọ́jà Western Spring Television ó dé. ó sì wù wá kẹ́ ẹ fi wá ṣe ààyò yín, kẹ́ ẹ gbárùkù tì wá kájọ fi ẹwà èdè àti àṣà tún ìtàn amóhùnmáwòrán kọ. orúkọ mi ni Fẹ́mi Adéfìlà. mo fẹ́ kẹ́ ẹ gbárùkù tì wá, kẹ́ ẹ gbáradì torí Western Spring Television bọ̀.
How do we hear? How do we see? What makes up the air we breathe? How does a plane fly over the sea? How do the planets float so weightlessly? It's technology. Science, you and me. We're learning every day. Engine leads the way.
Hello everyone. I hope you're ready for a fun and interesting engine show where today we're going to be switching on our brains, putting on our thinking hats, inquiring, discovering and learning about something we use every day for drinking, bathing, cooking, washing. Have you got it? Yes, it's water. We're going to learn about what water is made of, where we can find it in the world, develop an understanding about how water is on a continuous journey called the water cycle. Are you ready? Let's go!
We're learning every day.
Oh, I'm so thirsty. Let me pour myself a large glass of water.
Yes, you must drink plenty of water. In fact, humans can live over a month with no food, but only live a few days without drinking water. It's odorless, it's tasteless, yet it's the most refreshing drink, and it stops you from becoming dehydrated while maintaining a balanced diet. Now, that water you just drank has a long story.
What do you mean?
Well, that water once upon a time could have rained down on a dinosaur.
What?
Or been frozen on top of Mount Kilimanjaro. It could have flowed down the Niger River, been used by farmers for irrigation in Zimbabwe, or filled a waterhole for zebras to drink from in the Serengeti. The water we use now is the same supply that has been on Earth for billions of years. Its quality is renewed again and again, and it goes around and round and round in a cycle we call the water cycle.
Ew! Does this mean that this water has probably been drunk by someone else?
Yes, probably been through many people over the history of time, drunk, peed out, rained down on a mountain, been snow in Antarctica, and maybe even gushed down a waterfall.
Oh, that's strange. But I suppose water is in so many different places. So it makes sense if it keeps going round in a cycle so we don't run out of it.
The existence of water is essential for life on Earth. It covers 70% of the Earth's surface, although only a fraction of that is fresh water that we can drink. Life cannot exist without water. In fact, humans are 60% water. So far, we are the only planet that we know of that has water and therefore has life. It's our most precious renewable resource.
What if we find another planet with water on it? That means there could be other animals living there. Even aliens?
Well, yes, maybe. It's also the reason that when you go to space and look back at our planet, that it looks like a giant big marble floating around in the blackness of space.
But on our planet Earth, where is all this water?
It's in the oceans. Yes, the oceans consist of almost 97% of the world's water.
But there are other large water bodies too. What about the fresh water?
In Africa, we have the second largest freshwater lake in the world and the largest in Africa. It's called Lake Victoria. We also have Lake Malawi, Lake Tanganyika, the longest freshwater lake in the world, and Lake Chad. We also have mighty rivers like the Niger River, Congo, the Zambezi, River Nile, which is the longest river in the world, and the Orange River. Can you find freshwater bodies near you? Where is the nearest freshwater lake? What about a river near you? Where does it start and where does it end? Use a map to find out what you can.
We're learning every day.
But what is water?
I think we might need to ask Mr. Water Droplet here.
Hi, Mr. Droplet. What are you?
Well, I'm made up of lots of molecules. In fact, a water droplet like me is made up of 1.5 sextillions of molecules.
A sextillion? What is that?
A sextillion is 1,000 million, which is written like this. 10000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000000
have that many in you, Mr. Drop, imagine how many molecules there are in Lake Malawi.
Now, each of my many molecules is made up of both elements, oxygen and hydrogen. In fact, there are 2 hydrogen atoms for every oxygen atom. So, when scientists write me in a chemical formula, they write it like this: H2O, which stands for 2 hydrogen atoms plus 1 oxygen atom is equal to a molecule of water. Now you know what I am made of and how important I am to both humans and the planet. After the break, we will learn more about how I change form.
Washing your hands regularly with soap is the best way to kill germs. Would you like to see why? Imagine black paper is germs. Now, let's see what those germs are scared of. What happens when you put your finger in there? Nothing happens. Germs stay where they are. Now, let's put soap on those hands. Wow, the germs are terrified. Wash your hands regularly with soap to keep the germs away and protect yourself and those around you.
Hey, what are you doing?
I had to quickly wash my jacket as I want to wear it later and it was so dirty. I'm going to hang my wet jacket right here so it can dry off quickly.
Do you think it will be dry by the time we leave? It's soaking wet.
Well, because we need it to dry really quickly, I'm going to put it in this very sunny spot so it will get the hot sun on it. And I'll hang it like this so the wind will blow on it too.
Really? What happens when you put it in the sun and a windy place? Why does it dry quicker?
Sounds like a question for Mr. Droplet. Hello, Mr. Droplet.
Hello, yes, I can answer that. For your sweater to dry, the water will need to evaporate. This means that over time, the water will just seem to disappear.
Where does the water go, Mr. Droplet?
It evaporates. The liquid water is not actually vanishing. It is evaporating into a gas called water vapor. The process is called evaporation.
Here is an experiment you can do at home to help you understand. Put some water on a plate and leave it in a sunny spot. Make careful observations over time. You will notice the water level drops and eventually the water disappears. If you want to investigate further, you could even try leaving one plate in the sunshine and another plate in a shady place and see what the difference is.
Evaporation happens naturally. It's a process by which water changes from a liquid to a gas or vapor. Your jacket will be dry sooner than you can say supercalifragilisticexpialidocious.
So, water evaporates into a gas called water vapor. But then what happens to the water vapor?
That's a good question. Water vapor rises, and when it meets a cold area, it condenses, which means it turns into a liquid again. And that means
me!
It's called a reversible change, and you can see this happening if you look carefully at the world around you.
Where can I see it?
Tell your parents this is an important science experiment and you need a cup of water. Put it in the fridge until it is nice and cold. Take it out and put it on a table. Make careful observations of what happens. Can you observe water droplets forming on the sides of the glass? This happens because as the water vapor touches the cold surface of the glass, it condenses. This is condensation in action. Once you've carried out your observations, I suggest you drink the water as quickly as possible.
So, the water on your jacket doesn't just vanish, but it evaporates.
Yes, and not only that, but once it evaporates, it turns into water vapor, goes up into the atmosphere and condenses. And as it condenses into water vapor high up there, it forms clouds.
Anyway, it's about time to head out. Wear your nice warm dry jacket, thanks to evaporation, and we'll be off.
Every time you see your clothes drying on the line, think about evaporation and condensation.
Okay, let's go. We better hurry. Have you seen that enormous cloud above us? I think it's about to be a rainstorm.
Rain. When water falls from the sky, we call that precipitation. But we'll tell you more about it in the next segment.
When life is uncertain and we don't know what will happen next, it is important to let our brains, hearts, and bodies rest. Have you ever noticed how peaceful clouds look up in the sky? Just imagining that you are up there can help you feel peaceful too. Shall we try? Find a way to sit or lie down that feels comfortable to you. Close your eyes and imagine your whole body is like a sky. Your thoughts float by like clouds. The sun is shining on you, making you feel warm and fuzzy. It is starting to rain, the soft and gentle rain that comes down before the heavy rain of rainy season. The raindrops fall gently on your skin. You can feel them running slowly down your arms and legs and cool your body. The sun is back and the light shines through the rain. The raindrops act like little mirrors bending the colors of the sunlight. A beautiful rainbow appears. Slowly, the rain fades away and the clouds float softly by. The sky is blue again. When life is uncertain, you can use your imagination and concentrate on something that you think is calm and beautiful, like the sky, to help you feel calm too.
Science, you and me.
It's raining, it's pouring, the old man is snoring. Splish, splash, splosh. I just love jumping in puddles. I need to do it quickly before the sun comes up and evaporates the puddles. Hang on, if the sun evaporates the puddle water, does the same thing happen in a lake? Because a lake is a giant puddle.
Aha, yes, you're right. When water evaporates from a large water body like Lake Malawi, it turns into a water vapor. Then the vapor rises and goes up into the atmosphere. And then clouds are formed. Clouds are just clusters of water vapor.
Oh, I see those big clouds in the sky. Look at that huge one coming. I bet there's loads of rain in it.
Yes. When the cloud, which is water vapor, reaches the cooler parts of the atmosphere, the water vapor condenses and turns into water droplets. Then, as the molecules combine and the water droplet gets heavier, they become so heavy that the clouds can no longer hold us. These heavy water droplets drop out of the sky as precipitation, which is rain, snow, hail, or sleet.
So the water droplets in that huge black cloud are becoming so heavy that they're going to soak me soon. It's lucky I have an umbrella.
Yes, and when they fall from the cloud, some water droplets will fall on your umbrella, some will fall in the earth, some will fall on trees, some will fall on leaves. They will then either evaporate from where they fell, or they will trickle off and sip in the earth and be taken up by the plant roots. The rest will run as surface runoff into our lakes and rivers, collect there, and then evaporate back into water vapor. And then the cycle starts again.
And it starts all over again. It runs off and collects in the lakes. Evaporates, condenses, precipitates, collects. Evaporates, condenses, precipitates, collects. Evaporates, condenses, precipitates, collects.
You see, my journey goes on forever. You just can't get rid of me. The continuous journey of the water cycle means I'll just keep showing up just when you thought you got rid of me. Here I am again. Lucky I am so useful to you.
Vitamins and minerals are substances that are found in foods we eat. Your body needs them to work properly. so you grow and develop just like you should. Bacteria, fungi, they produce their own vitamins our bodies can't. So we need to get them from other sources. Each vitamins and minerals has a special role to play. There's more than one B vitamin. B1, B2, B6, B12. What a big group! The B vitamins are important in metabolic activities. Say with me, metabolic. This means that they help your body to convert food into energy. They also help make red blood cells, which carry oxygen through your body. Every part of your body needs oxygen to work properly. So these B vitamins have a really important job. You can find B vitamins in beans and peas, fish, meat, egg, milk, and yogurt. Make sure you eat plenty of those foods to be strong and healthy.
Hello everyone, this is Mr. Clement from Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. You have heard already that water supply on Earth remains constant. So why is it that millions of people around the world, in Africa especially, water scarcity seems to be a